Anyway, so they went down one sleep. And they had their guns. Each horse had 4 pistols on them. Each horse had 4 pistols. And they had a 4 Colt Navies. And they had a rifle. And they all had swords. And all of that was on their horses. And they were laid out there in their bedrolls on the ground away from the horses because they didn't want to get ticks all over them. Well, the Indians slipped in there, put a knife to all of them's throat, took all their clothes off them, stripped them down absolutely bare naked, took all of their rifles, their pistols, their saddles, their horses, and they tied them up there. And they went back to the village to find out what they think they ought to do with these guys. They had always been very nice to them, and they had been cordial to them. They had provided with them with food and sometimes provisions. And now Three Finger Jack had beat them all up and ran them off. So they went back up there. In the meanwhile, one of the prostitutes got away, and she ran off in the night. She came back and untied everybody, and they took off naked. They're all naked now. So they take off from there. Now these Indians took all of their clothing, they took their spurs, they took their saddles, they took their pistols and rifles, and by the way, those things were up there at the what we call visitor center there at Lebec or Tejon for many years, at the headquarters of the Tejon Ranch. They went up there and they had a man that worked with them called Lookout Jim. And they got up there on top of up on the ridge route, and that always was a traveling place for people, a traveling route. So they got up there and robbed all of the travelers and took their horses and their clothing. And they got provisioned back up again and went back over there to Three Rocks. Except they didn't go down to Cantua Creek. But while the real Joaquin Murrieta, El Potrillo, they called him, while he was up there, Manuel Duarte and Joaquin Valenzuela and some of the other gangs were down there on Cantua Creek. Well, Harry Love came back and he shot them all up. And he thought he had captured Joaquin Murrieta, or at least he said he did, but he captured his groom. They said he always rode that buckskin horse called El Tigre. Well, they cut off the groom's head and said that was Joaquin Murrieta, and they cut off the Three Finger Jack's head, and they put it in brandy in a big tin can, and they took it up there and got the reward, but they didn't get the real Joaquin Murrieta. And he had a brother, Joaquin Manuel Murrieta, and some of them, Joaquin Murrieta went down into Mexico with his family, and he lived many, many years. He finally went to El Paso and lived just across the border in Juarez, and he lived there for many years. They said he was 100 and something years old, and he went out looking for a calf and cattle out there in a blizzard and froze to death. The brothers all lived very long lives, except the ones that got killed, and they just disbanded the gang. Lopez, the manager of the Tejon Ranch, hired 12 or 15 ex-gang members, and they were cowboys on the Tejon Ranch. And Marilyn's dad knew Lopez and many of the others. I knew of Lopez. Here we are now. We have some horses here. Wild horses. We're going by wild horses now. About 7 or 8 of them. They lived up there, and Manuel, or not Manuel, but Joaquin Murrieta's groom, worked on the Tollen Ranch until he was 112 years old. He was a cook there. He was kind of a mix-up. He was Spanish and he was Chinese and Indian, a little bit all mixed up together. He was buried up there at Tollen Ranch. That was Joaquin Murrieta's groom. He worked there from Joaquin up on the Tollen Ranch as a cook up there for about a year. I cannot think of his name right now.